Since 2006, Mattel, Disney, and Pixar have been crafting one of the most comprehensive toy lines of all time, based on the Disney Pixar Cars series. And in this series, I'll be breaking down the history of every single item to ever be released in it. Hello everybody, and welcome to the first ever episode of Cars Diecast History. This is a series I've been trying to get off the ground for years, and I'm so excited to finally begin. And what better place to begin than with Lightning McQueen himself. Since there are so many different Lightning McQueen diecast variants, I've decided to split the history of Lightning McQueen diecasts into several parts. For this episode, we'll just be focusing on Lightning McQueen diecasts released based on the first Cars movie, going year by year. And while I discuss and show off each item, I'll be leaving some important information on the side of the video, including what years they've been released in, what their average price is based off of 5 eBay listings being averaged out. I'm in the US, so all prices will be US listings, and if an item has less than 5 listings, I'll make a note of that, of course. What their first and last release looked like, what countries produced them, be it Thailand back in 2006, China from 2007 to mid-2018, or Thailand and occasionally Vietnam from 2018 to the present. And finally, if an item has been released under several names, or if the one that's mainly used by the fan base is a fan-given name, other names will appear in a little AKA section. Additionally, if an item is a chase release or a Comic-Con exclusive or what have you, that will be denoted as well. And one last thing before we start, I'd like to thank the BDD World of Cars database and Take 5 A Day for being incredibly good fan resources for the Cars series. If those websites didn't document things as well as they do, this video probably wouldn't exist. And a lot of the images I've used and research I've done have come from these places. I'd also like to thank 3 other YouTubers, NCAP Cars, Robin Tailsfighter, and Cars Ignite 95, who've provided me with videos of some of the McQueen variants that I don't own. Thank you to all of you guys. Now let's get started with 2006. Lightning McQueen. The original Lightning McQueen diecast launched as part of the first wave of the 2006 Desert Art series, and has become one of the most frequently released Cars diecasts of all time. By my count, as of 2024, he has been released in at least 107 different ways. Singles, 2-packs, multi-packs, gift packs, packed with Mac, DVD pack-ins. The original Lightning McQueen diecast has seen it all. Made in Thailand, China, Thailand again, and Vietnam. This diecast has been available in some capacity every year with the exception of 2011 and 2012, the 2 years that only Cars 2 merchandise released. In the almost 18 years since its first release, the Lightning McQueen diecast has stayed almost identical, barring some small visual changes made to it based on what country it's produced in. The only truly significant change to be made to the McQueen diecast over the years came in 2008, when he was given the Rust-eze logo on his spoiler, which had been missing on his diecasts for the past 2 years. The logo was missing not only on this diecast, but on all pre-2008 McQueens, and they made an effort to go back and add them back in afterwards. Another change would be made in 2022, this time to the chassis of Lightning McQueen. Starting with this year, most Lightning McQueen diecasts were altered to have a little divot in their chassis so that they could be towed by a new Mater diecast. Let's move on to the next item, and I hope you guys like seeing this facial expression because the next several McQueens will have it. It took them a good few years before they started giving diecast variants different faces from the originals. Dirt Track McQueen. This is a matte-painted, dirty variant of the original Lightning McQueen, with brown oversprayed on his sides to make it look like he's been racing on the dirt track. When he was first released in 2006, he was packed in exclusively with the Radiator Springs Mountain Challenge playset, and the box labeled him as Willie's Butte McQueen. Which, for the record, they spelt wrong. Willie's Butte is spelt with an I-E, not a Y. In 2007, he would receive his first single release, now renamed to Dirt Track McQueen, and later on in 2007, he would also get a re-release on the style of the 2006 card back, as one of 2 exclusive carded items in the 2006 factory sealed set, of which only a few hundred were made. In 2008, he would be re-released once again as a single, now renamed from Dirt Track McQueen to Dirt Track Lightning McQueen. The item's been released several times since then, with its most recent release being in 2018 in a wave of the Lightning McQueen boxes. Dirt Track McQueen is tied with Roland Bull and Mater for several firsts for the Cars Diecast line, including first ever character variant, first car packed in with a playset, and first matte finish car. Dynaco McQueen. Released as part of a later wave in the 2006 lineup, Dynaco Lightning McQueen is one of the most iconic Lightning McQueen paint jobs and diecasts of all time. Originally named Dynaco McQueen for his 2006 and 2007 releases, he would be renamed to Dynaco Lightning McQueen starting in 2008. Despite his popularity, he hasn't been seen in stores since 2017 in the Lightning McQueen boxes. Hopefully he gets a re-release soon, and when he does, I sure hope that he finally gets the Dynaco logo added to his spoiler, as it's been missing since his original release and has never been added on. In 2007, the Cars Diecast line greatly expanded, bringing along with it several new McQueen variants. While I'll typically look at the main line first for these years, the first item I'd like to take a look at is from the Walmart 8 collection, which released in early 2007, but some accounts say that it was released in late 2006, hence its placement here in the video. Cactus Lightning McQueen. Initially released as part of the Walmart 8 collection, a collection of 8 cars released exclusively at Walmart, Cactus Lightning McQueen is actually not based off of the screenshot used on his card back. It's instead based off of a later scene in the film after Lightning crashes into cacti once again and speaks to Luigi and Guido while paving the road covered in cactus. He stands out for having a pretty solid expression, with a sad eye expression and a frown. Currently, his most recent release was in 2024, where he's out as both a single and in a 2-pack. Bling Bling Lightning McQueen. Based on another part of Lightning McQueen's Dynaco Daydream sequence, where he imagines himself being a super celebrity with chromed out rims, this variant is notable for a few things. Up first, it was one of the first Lightning McQueen variants to have a separate facial expression, looking off to the side instead of looking straight forward like his regular Dynaco variant. It also, unlike his regular Dynaco variant, has the word Dynaco properly printed on his spoiler. And while this diecast may look very cool, and trust me, it certainly is, it's been the bane of many collectors' existence for almost 2 decades now. Why is that? Well, it's because on the diecast, his rims are purely silver, while in the movie, they're silver, but the piston cups are supposed to be gold. To this day, this still hasn't been fixed. Bling Bling McQueen's most recent release was also in the Lightning McQueen boxes in 2018, where they accidentally used an image of regular Dynaco McQueen to represent him instead. Bugmouth McQueen. When Lightning goes on his drive with Sally, he accidentally gets a mouthful of bugs, as represented with this diecast. Originally named Bugmouth McQueen in 2007, he would be renamed to Bugmouth Lightning McQueen in 2008. The item's most recent release was in the 2022 mainline, where he finally got the Rust-eze logo on his spoiler, which had been missing in every release previously. This was also his first time being made in Thailand. Cruisin' McQueen. Based on the sequence in the first Cars movie where Lightning McQueen gets a makeover in Radiator Springs and cruises in town with the rest of the residents, Cruisin' McQueen was one of the first Lightning McQueen variants to have a metallic finish. With a cool, calm expression, he's one of very few Lightning McQueen diecast variants that are missing his number and his spoiler. You won't see that again for a very long time. In 2009, Cruisin' Lightning McQueen would become one of several McQueen releases to accidentally receive the red overspray error, where another coat of red paint was sprayed over all of the white on McQueen, making it appear pink. In 2020, McQueen's first re-release made in Thailand would correct an error that had persisted on the car for the past 13 years. In the movie, Lightning receives 3 bumper stickers on his back from Lizzie, but these were always missing on the Cruisin' McQueen diecast. The 2020 re-release would finally fix this. Cruisin' McQueen's most recent release would come in 2023. Radiator Springs McQueen. Another one of the most iconic Lightning McQueen paint jobs, this is the look Lightning ends the first movie in. It would then go on to be used in the Cars tunes and in the Cars video game trilogy, where Lightning switches between this and his regular paint job from the first movie whenever he goes to a race. In 2009, this release would also be a culprit of the infamous red overspray error, which would be fixed very soon after it happened. Currently, his most recent re-release was in 2024. Tongue McQueen. Based on Lightning's dramatic jump over the Piston Cup race at the beginning of the first movie, with his giant floppy tongue sticking out. And while it may look like his eye expression is also new, it's actually the exact same as the eye expression used on Bling Bling McQueen. Currently, the most recent release of Tongue McQueen was in the Lightning McQueen box's first wave in 2017. Blu-ray McQueen. Cars was the first new Disney movie to be released on the at the time recently introduced Blu-ray disc. And so, to help promote this, they released a special McQueen diecast that was a mail-away offer if you bought Cars on Blu-ray. Select releases of the Cars Blu-ray's initial release would come packed in with a code that you could redeem on the Disney Movie Rewards website, and you would be sent this special metallic dark blue Dinoco Lightning McQueen diecast, officially known as Blu-ray Lightning McQueen. While the prototype image showed him with the same facial expression as Bling Bling Lightning McQueen, the final item, which came shipped in a little plastic baggie, just used his regular facial expression. Making special metallic editions of pre-existing Cars diecasts would soon become a very common occurrence in the Cars diecast line, but this was the first time it was ever done. This was also the first ever Cars diecast mail-away offer, something that is still occasionally done to this day. While Blu-ray Lightning McQueen has never been re-released, he actually almost was. A very interesting Take 5 A Day article from 2008 details a strange Italian mail-away offer that happened that year. People were able to send in 6 UPC codes in order to receive a Blu-ray Lightning McQueen, but nobody ever got him. Instead, winners were sent a free Johnny Blamer and a Mini Adventures 2-pack. Take 5 A Day speculates that they probably ran out of Blu-ray McQueens to give away. And while 15,000 of this item were produced, the scarcity of it in the wild has made it cost hundreds of dollars online. 2008. Lightning McQueen with bumper stickers. Number 35 in 2008's World of Cars series, this McQueen variant is based on the scene I previously mentioned where Lizzie gives him bumper stickers, and don't worry, they actually are on him, unlike on Cruising McQueen. But this McQueen is much more notable for being the first ever Chase diecast. Chases are special releases that are limited edition and are not allowed to be released again after their initial release, meaning that we've never seen this McQueen variant again since. A wide variety of diecasts were marked as Chases from 2008 to 2014 when we stopped getting new ones. Starting in 2022, it's been decided to re-release select old Chases. So I guess now there's a chance that we could see this McQueen variant again, but I wouldn't count on it. This McQueen also has a special bottom name tag designed to look like a bumper with a license plate on it, showing that at the beginning of the Chase line, they were going out of their way to make sure you knew this release was special. Spin Out Lightning McQueen. One of the most hectic Lightning McQueen variants out there, this one is based on the scene in the first movie where Lightning crashes through Radiator Springs, wrecking the road by complete accident. Complete with the tires that fell on him when he crashed into Luigi's, and the barbed wire fence that got wrapped around him, complete with a few fence posts stuck to his back. The most recent release of this guy was in 2022, but his most interesting release came in 2016. To help promote the Cars Daredevil Garage app in 2016, an app that allowed you to scan in Cars toys and race them, which for the record barely worked, Mattel released a special blank box labeled Cars Daredevil Garage. It promised to include one mysterious car, but that car just turned out to be a re-release of Spin Out McQueen and a few tire accessories. The box also came packed in with a 2016 checklist poster. Tar Lightning McQueen. This diecast is practically identical to your regular McQueen release, with one tiny change. He has the little splotch of tar that Bessie drips on him early on in the movie. While it is a necessary variant, since Lightning has the tar on him for most of the film, it is not all that well liked by fans due to the fact that it's barely different from his initial release. It doesn't even have a new expression or anything.
This release was made as a single twice in 2008 and 2009, where his artwork was swapped out with a new, much angstier looking one, and he was also used in a few different multi-packs based on scenes in the movie where Lightning has the tar splatter on him. His most recent re-release was in the Radiator Springs Cleanup 5-pack in 2016. White Walls McQueen. The first Lightning McQueen diecast variant to be released in a 2-pack before a single release, this McQueen came packed in with a regular Fillmore, and he's just Lightning McQueen with bumper stickers, but before he gets his bumper stickers. So if you weren't able to get Lightning McQueen with bumper stickers due to him being a chase, you could still get this variant and not really be missing much. He would later get a single release in 2009, and his most recent release was in Wave 2 of the Lightning McQueen boxes in 2017. Also released in the 2008 2-pack was Tumbleweed McQueen, based on the scene where Lightning accidentally gets a tumbleweed on top of him after crashing. He was first released in a 2-pack with Doc Hudson, which humorously edited Doc into a screenshot to make it appear as if he was on screen with Lightning at the exact same time. In the movie, he was just looking at Lightning, but surely this image wouldn't work too well when you're trying to sell both of the characters in the scene. Tumbleweed McQueen's Made in Thailand variant, first released in 2019, is notable for strangely using a slightly different mold from every other McQueen variant, with the most notable difference being the fact that his spoiler is at a slightly different angle for some reason. It's hard to see here, but he's also strangely larger than the original. Lightning Storm McQueen. This was the first ever Lightning McQueen diecast to be released in the new for 2008 Mega Size line. Now known as the Deluxe line, which is what I'll refer to it for most of these entries, this was a way to release larger Cars characters at a slightly higher price point by just a few dollars. Lightning Storm McQueen is based on the scene in Lightning's Dinoco Daydream where he imagines himself starring in an alien invasion movie shooting down spark plug aliens. Unfortunately, he's another release that's infamous for being quite inaccurate, as his spoiler is the same as regular old McQueen despite the fact that it's unique to the scene in the movie, and he's also missing a missile on his roof. Lightning Storm McQueen was last seen in 2016 in the Dinoco Daydream collection. Bling Bling Lightning McQueen Expression variant. Released exclusively in a 3-pack with Gold Mia and Tia in 2008, this is the exact same as the original Bling Bling Lightning McQueen diecast, but it instead gives him the exact same facial expression as regular Dinoco McQueen instead of the expression normal Bling Bling McQueen had, who was looking off to the side. This variant was obscure and unnoticed for years, until 2022, where they decided to re-release this instead of the regular Bling Bling Lightning McQueen release. And so, 2022 is his most recent release. Metallic Lightning Storm McQueen. Released as the first ever San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Cars diecast in 2008, this is a special metallic variant of Lightning Storm McQueen that came in a nice acrylic case, complete with a clear plastic flight stand. This variant is metallic blue and also fixes a few of the notable issues from the original Lightning Storm McQueen release, including painting the tips of the missiles white and giving him the missile on his roof. Unfortunately, it's still missing the corrected spoiler, and since it's metallic, it's still not fully accurate to the movie. Due to this being a Comic-Con exclusive release, this guy will cost you quite a bit online and has never been re-released.
2009.
Impound Lightning McQueen. A chase release from 2009, this is a Lightning McQueen variant complete with his parking boot from when he's in the Radiator Springs impound lot. He also comes with a very unique and screen-accurate sad expression to boot. The impound boot is beautifully detailed with a lot of nice weathering on it, and it does successfully hinder Lightning McQueen's ability to move, while meanwhile the chase label hinders his ability to be re-released. This Lightning McQueen, despite only being released once, has a pretty notable packaging variant. The first release of Impound McQueen features confetti printed onto his blister. This was a practice done for a few early 2009 chases, but a few months later they stopped doing this, and the rest of Impound McQueen's releases no longer had confetti printed on his blister. The confetti blisters are surprisingly not rarer than the originals when purchased online. It seems they were both pretty easily available. Night Vision Lightning McQueen. Yet another Lightning McQueen variant from his makeover montage. This one appears when Lightning decides to purchase something from Sarge, specifically night vision goggles. While this is a great looking diecast on its own, it's most well known for what it was packed in with. This diecast included an exclusive 2009 checklist book. That's right, it came with an entire book, this full little booklet of every release set to come out in 2009. The booklet also includes some prototype images of cars that ended up not coming out in 2009 and being cancelled. The booklet makes this Lightning McQueen very desirable to many fans, and surprisingly, the McQueen itself has never been re-released. Aggro McQueen. This is the first ever expression variant of the original Lightning McQueen diecast, with the only difference being that he has a new face, specifically an angry one, hence his name Aggro Lightning McQueen. This variant was released exclusively in a 3-pack with 2 Dynaco showgirls, the box of which simply labels him as Lightning McQueen, and through all the research I've done, it appears that Aggro Lightning McQueen is actually a fan-given name that seemingly dates back to an old Take 5-A-Day article from when the item was revealed. Aggro Lightning McQueen has never been re-released. Finish Line Lightning McQueen. Based on the iconic scene from the beginning of the first Cars movie, where several of Lightning's tires pop, and he has to hop his way to the finish line and stick his tongue out in order to reach it, this diecast beautifully captures the moment from the movie, and is quite impressive for a 2009 release. With an exclusive mouth expression showing Lightning's tongue sticking out, several of the wheels specially molded to be missing their tires, and the back of the diecast molded in a special way in order to make it look like he's hopping. He also has his front wheels angled in a bit of a unique way to make it look like they're sticking out, which is a bit harder to see on my Made in Vietnam variant, but easier to see on the original. And while all these details are incredibly well done and very unique, it should be noted that his eye expression appears to be the exact same as that of Impound McQueen. This item was first released exclusively in a 3-pack in 2009, and remained exclusive to several multi-packs over the next several years, finally being released on its own for the first time in the second wave of Lightning McQueen boxes in late 2017. He would finally receive a regular single in 2022, but for this release, they humorously used the artwork of Tongue Lightning McQueen instead of giving Finish Line McQueen his very own artwork. This, in addition to the fact that he'd only ever been out in multi-packs before, makes Finish Line Lightning McQueen one of very few McQueen variants without their own unique artwork. 2009 would bring a big shake-up to the Cars diecast line, introducing the controversial lenticulars, cars with a lenticular panel for their eyes that allowed them to have the perceived notion of having either open eyes or closed eyes, depending on how you hold or look at the item. While it's a fun concept in execution, these cars never really looked all that right, with it typically looking like the car's eyes were poking through a blank sheet that was supposed to be their closed eye face. In 2009, 5 different pre-existing Lightning McQueen variants were given new lenticular variants, all of which used his original expression as one of the eye expressions, and that aforementioned blank sheet of color as his other expression. These include Lightning McQueen, Radiator Springs Lightning McQueen, Dirt Track Lightning McQueen, Dynaco Lightning McQueen, and Bling Bling Lightning McQueen, who, much like his original diecast, was looking off to the side in his eyes open expression. And I hate to be that guy, but he's actually looking in the wrong direction. And one last thing before we move to 2010, just want to mention that select copies of the lenticular Radiator Springs McQueen were also a victim of the red overspray error, much like his fixed eye counterparts. 2010 saw the release of the Final Lap collection, a Target exclusive mainline releasing a bunch of cars set to be the final lap before Cars 2 came out. With the exception of a few miscellaneous multi-packs, this was the only way to get new fixed eye releases based on the first movie in 2010. Every other store out there got either Cars tunes or new waves of lenticulars. Muddy Lightning McQueen is based on Lightning's Nature Drive with Sally, in the scene where he accidentally drives through a muddy puddle and gets covered in mud. An incredibly well sculpted and accurate variant, this diecast's become quite expensive over the years, as he hasn't been re-released since 2010. Lightning McQueen with shovel is based on the scene where he scrapes up the road and is forced to restart. This Lightning variant has a great facial expression and molded on accessory in the form of the shovel, and also features a bunch of very subtle speckled dirt detailing, something that would become a bit more common in some later Lightning McQueen variants based on this part of the movie. While he's a pretty great looking diecast, he unfortunately is another culprit of a major inaccuracy, as in the movie, Lightning's shovel is yellow, not the color shown here on the diecast. His most recent release was in early 2017. Lightning McQueen with cone is a bit of a deceptive release. The artwork and diecast itself would make you think that there's some scene in the first Cars movie where Lightning gets a cone stuck on him for a little while. But in the actual movie, several cones land on Lightning and immediately bounce off while he's accidentally wrecking radiator springs. The most recent release of this item was in 2021, where it strangely also uses that slightly altered McQueen mold made for Tumbleweed McQueen's Thailand variant. Wet Lightning McQueen, based on the scene where Red sprays McQueen with his water hose. Can you tell they were running out of ideas in the 2010 line? This item is pretty well detailed with a multitude of water droplets printed onto him. He hasn't seen a release since his first one in 2010. The 2010 lenticular line changed things up, now giving cars two different facial expressions instead of one with their eyes open and the other with their eyes closed. These are the more well-known and thus more infamous lenticular diecasts, with their two different sets of eyes, oftentimes just making it look like the cars have four eyes. They went pretty crazy with the lenticulars this year, making 15 new McQueens alone, and making basically any character you could think of have a lenticular. This made collectors at the time afraid that the future of the Cars diecast line would be within the lenticulars, but due to their lack of popularity, they wouldn't survive past 2010. The first several cars in the 2010 lenticular line were just the McQueens released in 2009, but with different expressions instead of opening and closing eyes. These are referred to by fans as lenticular version 2. Regular Lightning McQueen's lenticular V2 included the expressions of looking to the left and looking to the right. Radiator Springs Lightning McQueen's lenticular version 2 had two expressions, looking down and looking up. Dirt Track Lightning McQueen would have a determined looking down expression and a surprised looking up expression. Dynaco Lightning McQueen version 2 would have confident looking up and looking down expressions. Bling Bling Lightning McQueen would have two surprised or happy expressions. And that wraps up all of the version 2 diecasts. All of these cars would not see the light of day again after 2010, with the exception of Cruisin' Lightning McQueen, who was part of a special, limited-run, single wave of lenticular re-releases in 2013. In the 2010 line, he was number 4 and had nervous looking up and looking down expressions. Number 110 in the 2010 lenticular series would be Lenticular Whitewall Lightning McQueen. He would have two confident smile expressions, and is the only other lenticular McQueen who's been re-released, coming out as part of a 2014 limited-run holiday re-release of lenticulars. Our first lenticular exclusive variant of McQueen was a chase release of Bling Bling Lightning McQueen with golden wheels, labeled on the name tag simply as Bling Bling Lightning McQueen. This car came packed in with a piston cup and had exclusive golden wheels, which still isn't accurate to the movie. Number 123 in the lenticular line was Lightning McQueen with shovel with two disgruntled expressions, and number 127 was a lenticular variant of Lightning McQueen with cone with two concerned expressions. Rusty's Lightning McQueen, not to be confused with the more well-known Cars 3 diecast of the same name, is another Chase lenticular exclusive. Based on the scene where we see Lightning McQueen selling Rusty's in a commercial, this guy comes packed in with a bottle of Rusty's medicated bumper ointment and has two angry expressions, reusing the mouth expression from Agro Lightning McQueen to basically make a lenticular version of that variant. Paint Mask Lightning McQueen is another car who's a chase release that only exists in lenticular form, and it's yet another one from Lightning's Makeover. This Lightning has 3 of his 4 wheels and all of his windows covered up with a paint mask so that Ramon can spray paint him and turn him into Cruisin' McQueen. His two expressions are rather clever, both taken directly from the movie, showing him inhaling and then preparing to hold his breath. Not only is this one of the more clever uses of lenticular eyes, the mouth expression complements it very well, perfectly representing both expressions. Lightning McQueen with Celebrity Signature is yet another Dinoco Daydream variant and another car that only exists as a lenticular chase. With an exclusive set of cocky, confident expressions, this McQueen is another lenticular to come packed with an exclusive accessory. For him, it's a block of cement with Lightning's tire prints marked into it, just like we see in the movie when he's outside of the Chinese theater. Or, I guess, what the Cars universe's equivalent to that is. The Finish Line McQueen 3-pack from 2009 would get a lenticular reissue in 2010, which would give us the first and only release of lenticular Finish Line Lightning McQueen with two expressions, one determined and looking down, and the other more nervous and looking off to the other side. And finally, a lenticular release of Wet Lightning McQueen would be packed in a 3-pack alongside lenticular Red and Sally, with two expressions, both nervous from being sprayed with the water. And on the subject of water, the Color Changer line would also be launched in 2010. These were plastic cars that change color when exposed to different temperatures of water, or sometimes just different air temperature, but they're advertised to be played with water. 3 Lightning McQueen variants were released in 2010. Up first, a Dinoco Lightning McQueen, in light blue in warm water and a shade of green in cold water. His most recent release was a single in 2016. Regular Lightning McQueen would be yellow in warm water and red in cold water. One of the most popular Lightning McQueen color combinations for the Color Changers line, still used on several variants of the character to this day. He was only released in 2010. Radiator Springs McQueen would change from light red to dark red. He too was only released in 2010. Before we move on to the next year, we have 2 more Lightning McQueens to talk about. Released exclusively at a Kmart K-Day event, Lightning McQueen with synthetic rubber tires is exactly what it sounds like. A variant of Lightning McQueen, same as the regular one, but just with exclusive rubber tires. This item is notable for being one of the only rubber tire releases ever to also come out in a multi-pack, being packed alongside the rubber tire variants of the Gaskets and four-wheel drive racers, both of whom were also available as singles. And finally, for 2010, we have a pretty strange one. A Golden Cruisin' Lightning McQueen was released as an exclusive DVD pack-in with a Blu-ray of Cars and one other diecast, that being a metallic variant of Rescue Squad Mater of all cars. This McQueen was not the first ever Gold Cars diecast. The Golden Mia and Tia from 2008 beat it out. 2011 and 2012 would not see any new McQueens from the first Cars movie, as only Cars 2 diecasts were being produced at the time. But when we return to 2013, we get back to some new McQueen variants. Just know that from now on, now with Mattel, Disney, and Pixar balancing releases from both Cars and Cars 2, and with not all that many notable Cars 1 McQueen variants left to make, there aren't going to be all that many in the following decade. Instead, most new McQueen variants will be based on Cars 2 and later Cars 3 and Cars on the Road. But we still have quite a few more Cars 1 McQueens to get through, so let's get started. In the 2013 Mainline's Rusty's Racing series, we would get Lightning McQueen with Sign, a pretty contentious variant in the eyes of fans. Based on the scene where Lightning sneaks behind a Rusty's sign in order to disguise himself in his sponsor's tent, this variant is actually just a regular Cars 1 McQueen, but with an exclusive accessory, that of course being the sign, a plastic piece which hooks onto his front wheels. Strangely, the picture of McQueen used on the sign is not the same as the one in the movie. I'd also like to shout out his 2022 release, which changed the name to Lightning McQueen with Rusty's sign, and, much more importantly, spelled the word lightning wrong. Gotta love it when a typo slips through the cracks, huh? He was released again in 2023, and from my knowledge, that typo is yet to be fixed. The 2013 Mainline would also have a Lightning McQueen series. With 5 releases total, only one of these would be new, that being Nature Drive Lightning McQueen. Finally, completing the set of cars based on Lightning and Sally's iconic drive scene, this Lightning is based on the part where he crashes into a pile of leaves after being covered in mud, causing the leaves to stick to him. Much like Muddy Lightning McQueen before him, this is a beautifully sculpted and detailed McQueen variant, with its most recent release being in the second wave of Lightning McQueen boxes in 2017. A silver variant of Lightning McQueen would be released exclusively as part of a Kmart K-Day event in 2013. It's just your stock standard Cars 1 McQueen, but with a metallic finish. Its most recent release would be in 2020's Silver Collection. In that series, he was notably the only re-release, as every other car in the Silver Collection, even those who had previously gotten their own silver variants, would receive new variants for the year. For some strange reason in 2013, Germany had an exclusive Cars mail-away deal, where sending in 4 UPC codes from purchased Cars Diecasts would send you back a metallic Lightning McQueen with bumper stickers. This is exactly what it looks like, a metallic release of the first ever Chase diecast, made interesting by the fact that it was only released in Germany and has a card back that only has German writing on it. The car's name, officially, according to the name tag, is Lightning McQueen mit Aufklebern, which, translated into English, means Lightning McQueen with stickers. Also in 2013 would come the Stunt Racers line, plastic cars that could do neat little tricks. 3 McQueens based around the first movie were made for this line. A regular Lightning McQueen was sold as a single, in a 2-pack, with Mac, and also with a launcher. Dynaco Lightning McQueen would come packed exclusively with a playset, and packed exclusively with a different launcher would be a silver Radiator Springs Lightning McQueen, an item that has never existed as a metal diecast, only as a stunt racer. In 2013, the Hydro Wheels line began, cars that were plastic and could float on water and race if you pulled them back. 2014 would see the release of a Dynaco Lightning McQueen, with a regular Lightning McQueen coming packed in a playset the following year. 2015 would see the release of Determined Lightning McQueen. A fan-favorite variant, this is simply a regular Lightning McQueen diecast, but with a new, exclusive, race-ready, determined expression. It's well loved for being an incredibly useful Lightning McQueen expression variant, and hasn't been seen since its first release in 2015. Road Repair Lightning McQueen. This variant of McQueen is based on the portion of the first Cars movie where he's fixing the road in Radiator Springs. It features a bunch of dust and grime detailing and has an exclusive smiling expression. A bit odd, he wasn't too happy when he was paving that road, although I do believe it's based on a specific part of the movie. This McQueen's most recent re-release was in 2022, where it came packed in with a mater with a longer tow hook, and became the first McQueen to have those little divots in the chassis that I mentioned at the beginning of the video that allows this mater diecast to tow it. 2015 saw the release of the Precision series, a line of higher quality, slightly more expensive Cars diecasts aimed at adult collectors. Lightning McQueen was part of the first wave, and includes such details as an openable hood with a detailed interior, a fully painted base, and treaded synthetic rubber tires. He has an exclusive expression and is also an exclusive mold, made in an attempt to look a bit more accurate to the movie than the original McQueen mold. Transforming Lightning McQueen was first released in 2016, and is based off of the very brief scene in Lightning's Dynaco Daydream, where we see him changing from his Rusty's look into his cool blue Dynaco look. This is another fan-favorite variant, people really love how it looks, and it's been released a few times since its first release, with its most recent one being in 2022. And no, I have no idea why his artwork has the Rusty's and Dynaco parts swapped. Don't worry, the diecast is accurate to how he looks in the movie. The release of Cars 3 made new releases of McQueen from the first movie an even less frequently done thing. It would take until 2020 for us to get a new variant of McQueen based off the first movie, which would ironically be Metallic Transforming Lightning McQueen. This was a super chase, meaning it was limited to only a few thousand pieces produced, and it's currently the most recent super chase in the Cars diecast line. Typically, when we get metallic cars, only one color on them is made metallic. This diecast stands out for being the only time ever that 2 colors have been made metallic, both the red and the blue. 2021 would see the first release of a new McQueen color changer based on the first movie in quite a while, with a color changer Dynaco Lightning McQueen released exclusively with the Dynaco Car Wash playset. While Cars 1 adjacent McQueen variants continue to use his original mold, the color changer line, for whatever reason, has switched to using Lightning's longer Cars 3 mold for any Cars 1 McQueens. This release changes from his traditional Dynaco blue color in warm water to black in cold water. A few months later in 2021, we'd get the release of the first ever Cruisin' McQueen color changer. Once again, strangely a bit longer than your typical release, more so based on the Cars 3 mold. This would change from red in warm water to black in cold water. Currently, the most recently released Cars 1 Lightning McQueen variant was a variant of this color changer. Released in late 2023, this one would use the typical McQueen color changer scheme of yellow in warm water and red in cold water. And there you have it, guys, a comprehensive guide to every Lightning McQueen diecast based off of the first movie. There are still many more McQueens to discuss in this series. Next time, we'll cover Cars 1 Expanded Universe McQueens and Cars Toon McQueens. There's a lot to look forward to as we cover items from the Cars Toons, several storybooks, special edition cars celebrating Pixar and Disney, and a car of which only one was ever made. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching this video. Super excited to continue with this series. I'll see you guys next time. Bye now.